A very basic logo and slogan appear with a foggy woodland backdrop. Coming up on this amateur travel video production, Christy and Valo the dog walk past the camera with a very foggy entrance to the woods in the backdrop. Christy and Valo are now going across the stream, the latter is walking off slowly. Also, Valo enjoys a marathon of exploration, but takes the time to take in the sights and relax at the end of a great day. Today we'll be taking you on a journey to the beautiful Snake Woodlands for a very lengthy hike we went on, but this can be made into a short hike in the majestic woods if you feel like it. As always, here's the map and direction information, but it is also in the description. Let the journey begin. I appear in front of the camera. I'm standing in a car park with parked cars surrounding me, but beyond that a tree line is just behind the road. I'm wrapped up in a coat and scarf, wearing my trusty beanie hat, looking ready to tackle this hike on such a foggy and misty day. So I'm going to enjoy the scenery here. I'm going to take you on around a tour and hopefully you'll travel here too. I'm still in front of the camera now, but I've started to walk down the pathway on the start of the trail towards the woodland area. Forest walk. And it does turn into something a little extra on the out of the way. We'll show you that a bit later, but don't shy away from woodlands. As I turn the corner, the screen fades to show an assortment of trees as the camera pans right. A Christy and Valo are walking through the woods. Also the mist effect. Just travel appropriately. We always carry rainy gear with us. We've got our waterproofs. Christy forgot hers. The screen fades to me walking in the forest. The camera is diagonal so that the trees are behind me. In absolutely amazing views. One can see. The camera has now been abandoned on the shore of a small stream, facing a small wooden bridge that goes over said stream. We all walk over the bridge and past the camera. Enjoy the beauty spots, of course, but what we're also going to do today is show you an amazing hike that uses the woods as a, let's say, a starting line, and from there you'll just have to see. Come on, let's go look at the views. The camera fades in on a path separating into three directions. The path is surrounded by trees on all sides. Christy and Valo are making an almost U-turn as they make a sharp right turn on one of those paths. The camera follows them in their movement. I appear in front of the camera with a tiny stream flowing down the hill and pooling at the bottom. Valo can be found having a drink. From time to time there are trees in the way. Be very careful. If your way is fully blocked, don't obviously endanger yourself. Turn around and go another safer route. If it is clear, enjoy the views and keep on exploring. Well, we finally made it through that. So a cascade of trees had fallen down. It was passable safely. We've got through. And Christy's just going through the last tree now. The camera fades and is now behind Christy, who is attempting to pass over a fallen tree, keeping an eye on Valo as she safely navigates over the fallen tree. Winds, bad weather. Again, I've probably said this in a million clips. Be careful, it's slippy here. If you've got a dog on lead, be cautious and always travel safe. Alright, let's journey on back into the woods. I appear in front of the camera in this woodland entrance. Photos. As you can see, my weakness in the backdrop. I love tree archways. Now it's naturally forming, of course, but I like the visual of, you know, how it makes a gateway back into the woodlands. I love it. As you can just about see in the background. The camera fades into Valo playing in the woods. He's just off the path, surrounded by trees. The camera zooms in for a closer look as he sniffs the floor and trees around him. He suddenly becomes aware of our presence, dashes towards us with his little feet tapping in joy. The camera zooms out to follow his movements. He does have an adorable, fun and jaunty walk. Here. If it is wet, be careful. A casual walk in the rain can turn into very slippy surfaces. Look after yourselves, travel safe, and let's journey into that. The camera has been abandoned along the pathway to the woodland entrance. We walk past the camera, heading into the woodland area that is shrouded by fog. Christy and Valo are now walking in and out of the woods. They venture towards an opening before the camera fades yet again. The camera is tilted down. It's watching Christy and Valo walk a trail down back into the woods. The camera is looking down a mud trail in the woodland area. At the bottom, only a few meters away, is a stream and a wood bridge crossing it. Christy and Valo are crossing the bridge. I'm now in front of the camera again. In the backdrop is the aforementioned stream, to the right is a pathway leading back into the woodland area.
Go explore back along the river and around the woods. And you can do this as a circular through the woods if that's all you want to see. Going up the ridge.
The camera fades briefly and shows the stream.
Around to the car park. It's absolutely beautiful. There are a multitude of routes here. We may explore a few today and a few the other days, but there's so much to see here and I hope you enjoy your travels. Hi, you can go back into the woods and explore.
The camera is now facing out of the woodland area. A very makeshift path is on the right leading towards a stile. The camera zooms into a National Trust sign marked Lady Clough that is located next to this stile.
If I pronounced that right. The National Trust has loads of little mini trails here that kind of combine together to make a circular. Now, again, this is something that
I appear in front of the camera. The stile and woods we've just passed through are now in the backdrop.
Let's travel on.
The camera is now at the base of the valley. Christy and Valo are walking alongside and over the stream. The camera settles back in the valley as it follows Christy and Valo going up the hill and along the pathway that is now at the top alongside a stone wall marking the barrier to the road on the other side. The shot is done in a very fast and shaky time lapse due to the very narrow path and the height of which we went. It was safer for me to holster the camera and walk safely along the ridge. The path winds through the valley with the stream at the bottom, which you can follow, but you will get stuck along the way due to obstacles. I appear in front of the camera. The main road is just over my shoulder. It turns into a winding road and is bordered with a stone wall. I'm resting on said wall.
A long way down, and the pathway, if you can call it that, is very slippy and very narrow. This is just not for the faint-hearted. If you're not an experienced hiker and whatnot, or you're just really not good with heights or balance, don't attempt this. But on the other hand, if you are confident and you are safe, it's a beautiful way to travel.
A time-lapse shot appears of Christy and Valo running down the road towards the next walk. I appear in front of the camera, stood next to a gate and wooden fence. The National Trust sign is just over my shoulder, noting Doctor's Gate. The next trail will be exploring.
We're at the Doctor's Gate. Another National Trust walk that's going to lead us up into that hills, back around to some glorious meadows and mountains in the backdrop. Let's journey on.
Christy is unhooking Valo from his lead so they can venture over the stream. Valo gets distracted by the smells in the stream and Christy prompts Valo to walk onwards. I'm in front of the camera and behind me is a mud trail path that is surrounded by moorland terrain. It looks like soft, fluffy, overgrown grass that stretches on for miles.
Many of them. It's a rainy, foggy day. Be very careful. It's almost like swampland up here. What I will advise, in a day like this, you're getting muddy. When you get back to the car, rinse off your dog, dry him with we call them mittens. We've got some dog mittens, and just make sure you get them clean, safe. And there we have paving stones. Oh, I've never been so happy.
Camera is following Christy and Valo as they reach an intersection that has 4 routes going off into a cross formation. All around them is moorland vegetation, which is a little dull, but I enjoy the fog surrounding the area. The camera follows them into the middle of the crossroad, in which they read a sign before going down the leftmost path. The camera now faces an exit to the moorland area. I appear in front of the camera. In the backdrop is a moorland expanse and the gate we just noted. I'm slowly walking with the camera. I briefly pan to face the way I was walking, showing Christy and Valo walking towards a road crossing.
So be very careful here. The crossing is just across the road, but what I advise, make sure you get to the point where you can line it up and you can just run straight across. There is a little bit where you can walk safely across. There are cars parked here, so be very careful. And once we get there, back onto some moorlands and into the hills we go.
We've made it across the road. The camera is facing a National Trust sign and yet another wooden gate and fence. I appear in front of the camera, positioning myself in front of a National Trust sign that notes that we are entering the Ashop Moors.
Now we're going to travel through this into the hills. It's going to be absolutely beautiful. quite boggy and the rain and whatnot, it's quite hard to take footage and whatnot, so I might just do a cheeky time lapse, and please try not to laugh at me as how many times I fall. Right, let's journey on.
Time-lapse shot has begun. The camera zoomed in along the path of the moor area. There's vegetation on either side of the path, up and down a few steps before catching up with Christy and Vallo. I appear in front of the camera, stood on a concrete path in the middle of the moors. Christy and Vallo are walking along a path behind me.
Raining and misty today, or absolutely bright and sunny. Either way, you've got the mystery of the fog or the beauty of seeing the top of the mountains. Explore what it is. Like I said, there might be a lot of time lapse because with Moorlands, you can be traveling across them for hours. But through the power of editing, I can get you across in 30 seconds. Enjoy some lovely views on the way. I just love looking at that fog in the background as it goes over the mountains. It's absolutely beautiful. Now Christy is over there exploring that wildlife you might be able to hear in my camera. Let's go get caught up.
Vallo is mesmerised by all the wildlife up here. Yeah, making funny noises. I appear yet again in front of the camera. In the backdrop again is the concrete path winding through the moors.
It goes on for hours. Now, for the people who, like myself, sometimes the peace and quiet and the desolation, no people, is absolutely beautiful and relaxing. So sometimes go to moorland routes that are maybe not so popular and enjoy the tranquility of the journey. Get lost in the moment, lost in the views, and enjoy the journey along the way. You make your journey and travels what they are. Stay safe. And I'm going to get caught back up with Vallo and Christy. See you in a bit.
The camera's now zooming off along the concrete path in the moors as we enter another time-lapse shot. I appear in front of the camera yet again, stood on the path in the moors.
Along this trail, keep left, and you're heading towards Mill Hill. Once you reach there, you want to veer left, and we're going to go into the hillside. From there, more exploration and views. Right, I better get caught up. I am very far behind now.
The camera is looking into the distance where the moors meet the hillside, but overhead is a thick fog covering the land. I appear in front of the camera again, this time standing at a crossroads with rubble in the middle. In the backdrop are hills surrounded by fog and mystery, but mostly fog.
Follow this footpath. Now, if you veer right and up the hill, it takes you towards Kinder Scout.
The scene switches to a time-lapse of Christy and Vallo sitting down on the rubble at Mill Hill. I'm standing in the backdrop, getting supplies for our break.
Glorious circular. It's quite a journey. It's quite some sights to see. Now I'm going to take hours and hours of photos. I'll see you in a bit.
The scene switches promptly to abandoned camera at Mill Hill as Christy, Vallo and I walk left to right across the horizon. I appear in front of the camera again, now back in the moors, further down the path and hillside in the backdrop, much closer now.
But when you get to the bottom and it just starts to pan out, there's a turning on the left and there'll be a little path heading back into the moorlands. Go into the moorlands, head down the cliffside along the river. Otherwise, head up to Kinder Scout. Enjoy your travels, be very careful, and I'm gonna catch up.
The camera pans left away from the hillside. Now the backdrop is an expansive moors walk with a winding concrete path.
The countryside views have begun again. They never stopped really, but you can just see them in a different perspective now. Once the fog clears, you see all the textures of the land.
I appear in front of the camera now deeper into the moor trail, but in the backdrop the hillside now goes alongside it, making it almost seem like we're in a valley. The scene briefly changes to a muddy and rocky pathway.
Dry spots. If you do slip and slide, take it easy, re-get your ground and carry on.
I reappear in front of the camera further down the trail. The hillside is in the backdrop much closer now, and the stream flowing between me and the hills. The camera pans left briefly to put Christy and Vallo in the shot, sat down having a drink.
And then we're going to be journeying on. Up that way. See you in a bit.
The camera is looking closely at a tired Vallo sitting and taking a well-deserved rest before panning through the land, showing the forest in the distance. I appear in front of the camera. I appear to be perched upon a hill with a rock path behind me, and below me the valley and small ruins. The camera quickly pans left and tilts down towards the stream, showing a small bridge crossing it.
Or want an alternative route? Down here is the route you can go up to an alternative way to Kinder Scout. But for us, I'm going on back into the woodlands.
I appear in front of the camera. I'm standing at the pathway, but directly behind me is a National Trust and Wildlife Information sign.
But obviously you won't see this sign the way we've done it. So we've done it the alternative. We've gone from the moors back into the forest rather than into forest into the moors. It's quite a journey though.
The camera shows the trees before fading onto Christy and Valo entering back into the woods. The camera is looking upon a stream going through the woods. Christy and Valo are walking alongside said stream. The camera is abandoned on the floor of the woods, facing the trees, and in the distance a bridge going deeper into the forest. Christy, Valo and I pass from the right, going left towards the bridge. I appear in front of the camera, and the backdrop is the forest and the aforementioned bridge.
Following it along the river, and you'll come to this bridge as you can see behind me. Go across the bridge back into the woodlands and begin your exploration again back to the car park.
The camera is looking upon Christy and Valo, who are on the rock bed alongside the stream within the forest. Christy is taking photos of Valo as he explores the area. The camera fades into a shot of Christy and Valo walking along the muddy trail deeper into the woods. The camera moves around a tree before focusing on Christy and Valo walking onto the stone bridge in the woods. The camera is now panning and following Christy Valo through the woods. Being back in the woodlands is so exciting, and a nice relaxing walk after a great expedition through the moors and hillside. The camera is now looking up at a small rocky hill through the woods that Christy and Valo go up. In the distance are layers of trees, but just to the left side of that, one of the bridges we started our journey on. The camera fades onto Christy and Valo going over another bridge, this one being the one that we marked at the start of the journey, now coming to an end.
Now we're venturing up the hill, past the bridge that we came, back to the car park.
The camera's looking at the ground littered in branches as I stumble through the terrain. During this scene, the text "Outtakes and Funny Moments" appears. Me in front of the camera in the forest.
Quote of the day: if you slipped, you would only die a little, Ryan.
Camera facing a foggy woodland entrance, me skipping towards the abandoned camera at the forest floor. Fallen tree is on the floor. Valo hops over the tree. Valo is sitting on the grass upright with the woods in the backdrop. He gets up and runs to get treats from Christy.
Look, it's Ryan's favourite, slippery slopes. Let's see if I fall today. Again. And this is the part of the tour. Consult Google Maps. And once again, Christy attracts a staring sheep, watching our every move.
Camera's going through the woods as Valo has a pee on a tree. The camera's looking at a stack of wood logs.
Do you think it's wood? If you're playing the drinking game at home, if you predicted that I would fall 4 times today on this run, over 8 hours, you're the winner. For fellow fans of the Borderlands series, stirs. After 8 hours, the last thing I want to do is stirs.
The camera is focused on Valo sleeping upright in the car. The screen fades and a photo of Valo wearing Christy's denim battle jacket is displayed on the right hand side of the screen. I'm glad you made it to the end. Valo and I really appreciate it, and I apologise for my humour, but something needs to make up for my monotone voice. If you want more of this content and are a glutton for punishment, consider subscribing to the channel. Please check out our other content that you might find something you like, and check out Valo's Instagram, the link is in the description. But most of all, leave a comment. I want to interact and learn from the feedback you give. We wish you all the best on your journey, whatever form that takes. Goodbye now.